Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 502. We are gathered here in the Guide to the Geek Side with all my Muppet friends to talk about the wonders of the world of geek. I am Todd Oxtra. It's very cold in Minnesota, but we don't talk about the weather. We talk about the cool parts of the world of geek. We have put lights out in our yard, and we have put up a tree so we can fight off the forces of darkness who will come and take our souls.
Oh,
I'm joined by
That's what
Charlie
Christmas is all
Carton.
about. That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Yes, fending off Krampus, Robot Santa, and all the other evil, maybe gremlins too.
I love it.
All the evil holiday monsters.
All the evil, mostly the gremlins. No, I'm good. It's cold here too. We have snow. We get the snow. You get the cold. I know more so. We don't get your level of cold, but it is still cold.
No,
without a doubt. Without a doubt. But no, I'm good. It's we got a great show for you as always. We're going to finally do our breakdown of Wicked because Todd's seen it now, and we're also going to talk about musicals in genre in general. Just talk about a lot of fun stuff. But anyway, always to get the show started, we do like to pay homage and give some sweet loving to the folks over on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon. If you visit patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, you can try us out for free for 7 days. And then it's as little as $2 a month to stay on board. And as Todd brought to my attention, because we are recording this at the beginning of December, it's the holidays, you can actually gift someone Patreon as a holiday gift. How awesome is that? You can be like, hey, friend, I've been listening to these guys for a couple of years. They're really great. Look at all their bonus stuff. It's on me. Boom, gift. Nice. Maybe I'll do it for somebody. Maybe I'll do it for my parents and finally get them to start listening to our ramblings. No, I doubt it. Not podcast
Charlie,
people.
You have to share your password. Is it on
Peacock?
No. Is it on Paramount Plus?
Oh, no. Yeah, exactly. Is it one of the Blue Blood spinoffs? No, I don't know. But yeah, tune in over on our Patreon. We have great shows, including a show that Todd and I do about comics called Spinner Rack. I have a show called The Facts Geek Life, where we take a classic series a season and some episodes and talk about it. Todd and I have an episode coming up where we talked about The Simpsons. And I just did an absolutely spectacular interview with Adam Nimoy, who is the son of the late Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock himself. He talked to Peter, who is my Code 47 co-host, at length about his relationship with his dad and his journey through 12-stepping recovery. So it was a really great chat, and it's a great listen, and it is only available currently on our Patreon. So tune in like these fine folks at our besties level. My buddy Derek, the figure dude, Francie, my wife's hairdresser, Xbox Expansion Pass, our friend Luke Lore, and my Uncle Tim, who's just a hell of a nice guy. Friends with Benefits level, John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Entertainment, our pals Kelly and Crayley, Brendan Myers, Corey in HD, Matthew Keel, and my journalist buddy, the guy who is my ace in the hole, helps me get all these great interviews, my buddy Kurt Krug, like the Klingon from Star Trek 3. And these wonderful folks without there would not be some. That would be the Nice family from the Twin Cities. Todd's very good friend, Henry, and his lovely children, Sean and Stella. We are very appreciative of all of you.
Henry has children?
I said his wonderful children.
You said Henry and his wonderful children, Sean and Stella.
Because I was reading it backwards. If Henry has children, wow. It must have been some kind of cloning or something. I don't know. It'd be very bizarre. So
his mother will not be happy with that, Charlie.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. But anyway, Sean, Stella, and Henry. Sean, obviously, being the adult in the situation. We're very grateful for your patronage. Once again, patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Try us out for 7 days. $2 a month, as low as after that, and gift your friends for the holidays. All right.
I wanna tell Sean shout out. Please get better, Sean. He has got 2 herniated discs. He's most likely going to need surgery. He's in a rough spot, so give him your love. He couldn't do Waiver Wire Wizards with us last week, so Chance stepped in. We won't be doing it this week, and then most likely, hopefully, Sean's getting a little bit of medical relief on his back before he can get surgery, and he can join us again. But yeah, Sean, get better soon. And Charlie, before we go in, there's a little bit of controversy on the XCP Discord. I will say this about Luke. Luke is a very nice guy, but he's got trash taste in food. There's a lot of weird taste in food. So we found out somebody likes to put ketchup on mashed potatoes. That's very weird too. Very odd. I know you love your ketchup on your eggs, which I find interesting, but it's not for me. But Luke just put out something about eggnog. Like he thinks it's the weirdest thing in the world.
Ketchup and eggnog? Oh man. Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I like eggnog.
Do you like it with straight? Do you like it like with a little rum?
Yeah, How
do you feel?
I can go both ways. I'd say that if I purchased a half a gallon or a quart or whatever it is, sometime this holiday season, I've got Captain Morgan's in the liquor cabinet. I could see putting them together. Yeah, no trouble at all.
Okay. I just wanted to worry about, I just worry about people's their food tastes, and it's like, yeah, he also is like very belligerent about certain things. I'm like, I think he's the type of guy likes Ensure shakes and like energy drinks, Ensure, because I view food as just sustenance for the soul. I do not like flavor. I don't know.
We've done protein shakes for years. For a lot of years, it was the Shakeology because my wife repped Beachbody, or Body is the company. And what was the other thing that you talked about? You said protein shakes. And what was the other thing?
Ensure?
The
Monster
other
energy drink.
Yeah, and I don't touch those at all.
Zoa, the Rock's energy drink.
Yeah, no, I drink my coffee black because we don't need to go into that. Because I'm a hard man. What can I say? But December 1979, and this is a little different. This is Action Comics. Oh, you have the edge of it cut off, but I'm going to assume it's an issue number 2. You got the right edge of it cut off, and it says number blank.
Sure why is that doing that? Hold on. Let me bring it in. It does some weird thing. There's some weird. There's some weird editing within Google Docs. Sorry.
There you go. That is okay. So this is a little different, and you gave me a couple of paragraphs at the bottom here.
Well, I'll take care of that at the bottom, but you take us through the cover.
Action Comics is the original Superman title, 1939. Action Comics number 1. I think I got that. Yeah, was Superman's introduction to the world, the famous cover of him hoisting at the back of a car. So this is obviously issue. Is this issue 502? I'm looking. I don't see a number.
It is 502. It is 502, okay. Charlie.
Okay, yes. Very good. But what's more interesting about this is that it's an imprint, but I'll let you cover that. But we've got Superman guesting his cousin, Kara Zor-El, with her obviously very 70s looking outfit, which is just she kind of looks like she should be an ABBA.
It's got a skirt. It's got a skirt,
and she's got the fair hair with the locks. And Superman is getting punched by a dude who's pretty much the ceiling of your childhood bedroom with the little stickers. I had that.
He's kind of like Captain Universe, right? Yeah, he's got like the starry black background with stars.
And they look like they're on a film set. He is walloping Superman. Like he gets him with the left cross, just blammo zammo.
Yep.
And Kara says, Great Moons of Krypton, the galactic golem is killing Superman. Now I see why he left me here in the fortress to save my life. So she's watching it on a big TV. Now I get it. So
Great job, Supergirl.
Yeah, exactly.
Superman.
And I always love when you see the barcode at the lower left and part of it is crossed off.
Yep.
I
Not
never
for resale.
I never really got that. I had several comics
Not for resale, Charlie.
Back in the day myself. So, all right. So this is Gold Key, which they produced. To me, they're the most famous for doing the Star Trek comics. In the 60s.
So this is an interesting journey. So Whitman did an imprint where they distributed comics. They also did it for Marvel too, which was very interesting in the 70s. So Gold Key started off. It was an imprint of Western publishing. So you were known for like Turok, the dinosaur hunter. He did a bunch of things like Solar the Man, but he also did Gold Key did Star Trek comics, which had pictures of the Star Trek show, and they did a bunch of other things like History Illustrated. I think was another thing they did.
Oh yeah,
they did a bunch of weird things. But yeah, so basically they were around from 62 to 84. And they decided that they were going to work with Marvel and DC to basically distribute value bundles of their comics. And if you remember it, basically, but they did it under the Whitman logo, which I don't understand why.
Okay.
Didn't do it on a Gold Key. And then basically Marvel did it. Marvel did it as well with its Diamond. as well, under that logo. And then former DC Comics executive Paul Levitz stated the Western program was enormous. Even well into the 70s, they were taking very large number of DC titles, 50,000 copies off their hands and rebundling them, distributing them into different formats, maybe like going to your Kmart rather than your drugstore or things like that, your news outlet.
That's where, I mean, you and I both, my first comic was Marvel's Star Wars 65 from the Notre Dame Pharmacy in the Village in Grosse Pointe, where I grew up.
I had Revco, Revco Pharmacy, which is no longer exists. I don't think it's no longer in existence. But but they were actually on the shelf in the spinner rack. But the funny part about this is, it says in 1979, Western ceased to be an independent company when Mattel purchased the company. The new management stopped selling returnable comics at newsstands, preferring the non-returnable bag comics sold at toy stores.
You know, I told you I've been to Mattel. Did I tell you my Mattel story when we were in LA?
In Cincinnati, right?
No. It's in LA. It was in the parking lot of the hotel that we stayed at, which was very close to LAX because we were flying out the next day. And they have a toy store in the bottom, and it was.
I'm thinking of Kenner. Kenner was in Cincinnati.
Yes. Yeah. The nice ladies who worked in the Mattel store said the worst collectibles people are the Hot Wheels people because they get into fistfights in the store. Over, I want this one. You can't.
I just don't understand that.
I don't get it.
I don't understand that. Charlie.
We did a toy show yesterday, and I'm selling some Hot Wheels for my buddy John Blizzard, and they were very picky, man. If that card's not right or it's not a this or that, I don't know, man. But yeah, that was Whitman. Yeah, that's a cool little exploration. So we probably stumbled across those in the past. And speaking of the past, Todd, did you know who was really the mastermind behind Whitman? It's not hard to figure out. I bet you can get there. That's right.
Mastermind.
It's our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb. She was 80 when this was going on and still a publishing magnate. But she's on softer times these days in quasi-retirement because she bird dogs news stories for us down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine with what we like to call the news with Madam Webb. Let's go for it.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb. Oh my goodness. I was watching the Macy's Day Parade. It was very exciting. They talked about, and then I also watched a little bit of the Philadelphia Parade, which was interesting because it was like ABC was hyping that up because they only had the rights to the Philadelphia Parade. Apparently, Gimbals was the hotness in Philadelphia. They talked about that parade. And apparently you were the one responsible for the downfall of Gimbals, just like Whitman Comics. You essentially forgot to pay the bills because you took the payroll and you bet it all on the New York Mets, and it did not go well.
You know, I heard she was actually the one who pushed the plunger on the dynamite that blew up the Hudson's building in Detroit. That's heartless. Absolutely.
Gimbals, Hudson's, they're all gone, Charlie. It's Macy's that's left, and they're not much of a thing anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Ouch. So peace out to anybody who does that. Well, we have some sad news in the industry within the last couple of days. Morgan Lofting, who was it was funny because we were looking over her career, not necessarily a prolific actor, but someone who's very memorable, has passed away at the age of 84. She was, to me, most famously, the voice of the Baroness in the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero miniseries and subsequent daily, syndicated program that was on from 1983 to 1987-ish when the TV movie came out. It was a direct to home video, did not release in the theaters. And we have your Transformers to thank for that. That movie
She still has agents? Wait, this is her agents. She still has agents? What is she being agented for?
Does it say
library work?
Yeah. Oh, it says agents. I don't know. Maybe it simply meant her people who represent her. So maybe it was her kid. I don't know. But anyway, what I was trying to say was G.I. Joe had a TV movie, didn't make it to big screens because of your Transformers. That movie did not do well. So thanks a lot. Anyway.
Charlie, quite honestly, who actually showed that movie? I saw it on syndication, I think on a Saturday out of the blue. I had no clue it was happening. I think there was no publicity. It was like, it wasn't in theaters.
That's what. Well, that's what I. That's what I just said. It didn't.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. What were they thinking at the time? Like, oh, just put that out there on a Saturday afternoon and hope people.
It was like a home video release. But anyway, back to talking about Morgan. She passed away last week at her home in Burbank. One of the 10. Oh, there you go. One of the 10 founding actors of our agency. Celeb Works with an X. So there you go. She did. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, back to Kenner. There you go. In 1940, her first role was, and again, I kind of know what this series is, was on the animated program Star Blazers, Princess Invidia. Don't know. Syndicated American adaptation of a Japanese anime series, much like Voltron. I would assume it's somewhat a contemporary. From
Star
the
Blazers, it was like a Star Trek type show where you had a big ship and they went on adventures. Yes,
that was from 79 to 84, and in 81 to 82, she was Aunt May and the Black Cat in. It says the cinemated Spider-Man series, which at that time was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which kind of threw me. I had no idea because she was voicing, little old lady and then making it sexy to sound like the Black Cat. So I don't know. She had a lot of range, clearly.
Well, there was Spider-Man versus Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So there was like a precursor to Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
I'm going to have to dig a little more deeply into that. But anyway, Lofting did make her debut as the Baroness, the cunning intelligence officer of Cobra in the 1983 miniseries G.I. Joe Real American Hero, The Mass Device, coming up with a European accent on the spot based on Larry Hama's file cards that he wrote for all of the G.I. Joe characters. She was the child of spoiled or European aristocrats, radicalized as a student, and became a terrorist. That was her background. She said you're handed generally a sketch, like a black and white sketch what the character is, and that's very helpful. There was probably a character background, which I said, and that helped with the accent. So she played that role, as I said, into she went all the way into the 90s. There was a G.I. Joe Operation Dragonfire was another series from 1990. Dragfire. No, I don't know that I watched that series, but I was aware of it. So yeah, she had the role for almost a decade. And after that, and you mentioned her live action part, she was an episode of Hotel, which was a sitcom in the 70s, and a 4-episode arc on Knots Landing, playing Mrs. Whitehead. Oh, well, I have to go back and watch that sizzle reel. So she went back to college during the time she was voicing the Baroness, got her bachelor's degree and master's degree from Cal State, and became a librarian and started bartending the books as she described it. So good for her. Yes, she is survived by brother and some sons and grandchildren. So a career and a life well lived, I would imagine. So thanks for the memories, Morgan. We appreciate it. I will always remember my Baroness. Got to meet her myself here in Grand Rapids at our local Comic-Con back in 2021. I actually walked her to her panel because I was working with the G.I. Joe costuming group at the time. Same thing, same kind. I actually walked Sergeant Slaughter back to his panel. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, she seemed like a very nice lady when I met her. So rest in peace.
Thank goodness. It's a legacy of women who are voice actors, which quite honestly at the time, men were the primary characters and women, if you got to make an impression on anybody, good job. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. So, Todd, I've noticed in the last year or so, the absolute explosion of these popcorn buckets in the movie theaters. We've picked up two. We picked up the Ecto one because earlier this year at Ghostbusters, because it was the last one theater had. And I'm like, I gotta get it. And then we got the Deadpool one this summer, but they just keep coming out. So what's the latest schmiggadoo? You got a couple of listed here, so talk to me.
Oh yeah. And I just put an image of the Gladiator options as well. There's Gladiator mugs or cups you can get with a Gladiator mask. You can get a Gladiator popcorn tub as well with the mask, which is great.
I saw that. I did see that.
It's pretty impressive, but the first one is weird because it's not a movie I would associate with something fun. Well, exactly. Nosferatu is getting basically a casket. Put all your popcorn in. So it looks great.
I love it.
It's a little weird. Absolutely. It's a little bit unwieldy for holding popcorn at a theater. So I don't know if these are really really ergonomic for popcorn eating in a theater when it's dark, or it's just like for your own collection. But these are like $30. And I will give them credit. Regal Cinemas is selling this for $30. But other theaters are also selling different variants, which are interesting. But I mean, at this point, I mean, I guess it's just another revenue stream, which is perfectly fine. You know what? No one's forcing you to, when you buy your popcorn, it has to be in this thing, and it's $30. So you can still get your crappy $10 boring popcorn.
Well,
do that.
We have the reusable tub that features some movie that's out at the time, and then because you can refill it twice a day,
you have a real bucket that just has a sticker on it, Charlie, and it's just like it's the slop bucket.
And it's not a slop bucket. That's gross. But the current one we have is Wicked, and then we saved the previous one because you can fill it twice a day. So we fill it, but we don't even eat half each. We take the rest of it home, and it's a treat for the next couple of days. So because it's theater popcorn, which you can have at home. So that's nice. But like I said, I bought the buckets. I kind of jumped on the bandwagon earlier this year, but yeah, I don't need more. I don't need everyone that comes along. It's a little ridiculous. But yeah, if you're a huge fan of Gladiator or Deadpool, then you should you should get one. But you're not going to really eat popcorn out of it. If you do, good luck cleaning it. It's totally gross.
Yeah, I mean, we got a Sonic and Knuckles bucket that's coming out. That'll be if you're interested, you can have Sonic's head, like you're eating his brains, which are great. And you get cups too. Those are going to be coming out, but they're going to be like a whole line of like things. So essentially, AMC's are becoming GameStops for all of the junk you can buy associated with a movie, which is fine.
Right.
Then we got the Beetle. Yep, Beetlejuice had one. We had obviously the Dune 2 infamous one. Yeah. We had the Minions had one. We had Deadpool, which had Wolverine's face. And then apparently Wicked had one. I haven't seen the Wicked one.
Oh, yeah. The Deadpool one that we had was the cab, and he's sitting on top, and it opens up.
Sure.
And so, they had a variety. Did not see the Wicked one. I know that I love this. Similar to what we see here for Sonic, there was one for Venom. The theater still has a ton of them. Was not a big seller. I know, because the movie wasn't successful, so believe it or not. Yeah, so are you looking up the Wicked one? What does that look like?
I'm just seeing if there's a popcorn bucket, for Wicked.
Oh,
if not.
I don't, like I said, we have the bucket, which is the refillable one. So but it's just a bucket with.
It looks like just a bucket. Okay. And then there is a drink that you can get with Alphaba as well on it. So you know what? I'm sorry, guys, you're not getting like a weird I don't know, witch's hat with popcorn.
That seems like it would have to be a hard plastic too, so you couldn't really.
It'd have to be upside down, or you have to you have to click it over and you open it up. And I feel like the amount of popcorn you're getting is limited in these things anyway. So it seems like it's not a great popcorn deal.
I never filled it up anyway, so that's good. And if again, like any trend, if it's actually successful, it will continue. If it's a huge failure, it will not. So if you're into it,
I think people like it, right?
Right. Yeah, they must, because we'll find out this time next year if they still continue to crank them out. All right, moving on. My only familiarity with this next character has to do with it was funny because we just saw that movie Saturday Night, which was the recital of the first episode of SNL, and the guest on that was the very weird Andy Kaufman. Who did a bit where he pantomimed the lyrics to one particular verse of Mighty Mouse. And Mighty Mouse was your original superhero anamorphic. Is that the word I'm looking for? Anamorphic mouse. Like he talked and walked on 2 feet. Is anamorphic the word I'm looking for?
That's when animals get human
anthropomorphized.
There you go.
But Mighty Mouse, which was in the 50s and 40s. Oh my goodness.
42. Yeah, I believe it was part of the Terrytown Studios for 20th Century Fox. Originally called Super Mouse. And then he became basically got a regular show in 1955 on Saturday morning on CBS.
Yep.
And then he teamed up with Filmation later on in the 60s with Heckle and Jekyll and those type of characters. Ralph Bakshi actually did a really weird Mighty Mouse show in the late 80s, which was funny and interesting, like a Ren and Stimpy type of version, very little disruptive. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of these oddball animated characters that you probably saw in syndication, maybe on network, that just seemed a little off. And Mighty Mouse has stuck around, but has not really done anything in decades as far as
I mean, I would say I would go out on a limb and say that Mighty Mouse is very much unknown to even some people in our generation. And so if it's unknown to our generation, it's not going to be known to our kids because we didn't share
I
it with
saw
them.
it because it was on weird reruns on when I was a kid, because it's oh, I'll watch anything.
Yeah. So, well, you know, when you have somewhere between 3 and 6 channels, depending on how you're moving the rabbit ears, you're going to take whatever comes with. So anyway, this is making a comeback, I assume, in some fashion. What do we got here? Yes. And they said every single superhero IP out there is being brought back. You know, they say that, but they'll end up finding something more obscure that isn't. So what's what do we got here? We have
it's interesting because Ryan Reynolds he's probably more of a businessman than he is actually a performer these days. He owns Mint Mobile, or he did, and then he owns that football team, which I think he just sold it off. And he's got all his movies, Deadpool. He's become very much about getting his production companies up and running with different properties. And the latest one is this. Obviously, he's got the rights to do Mighty Mouse, which at this point I'm like, is it because he can just use the IP? I don't think the IP is yet up for grabs for free. So probably jumping on board to establish what Mighty Mouse is for the 20th century or 21st century at this point, which is cool. And it will be interesting to see what they do. But the goal is to bring this IP forward, and he's bringing along the folks with Paramount Animation, Charlie.
There you go.
Behind Transformers 1 and Mutant Mayhem. And that's kind of cool.
More of like a 3D animated, like the Transformers, or was the most recent Turtles? Was that also that style? It was kind of.
It was kind of had a unique art style, almost more like actually the Spider-Verse the Turtles did. So they really took a unique art style, and he's teaming up with the folks behind Free Guy, which I like that movie quite a bit.
Yep, same.
Then the people behind the Christmas Chronicle. That's the one with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, which did pretty well. They did recently an Addams Family animated film and the Scooby-Doo films like Scoob, which I enjoyed as well. So I mean, this could be a hell of a fun time, but it really depends how it's executed. Is this going to be like DuckTales, where it's a little bit self-deprecating and fun? That movie, or no, sorry, Chippendale's Rescue Ranger. You saw that one, did you, or no?
That was one I missed. No, was that?
Oh, that's amazing.
Is that what that was like?
It's all about cartoon characters coming to life, doing their things, and it's very funny. It was one of my favorite movies of the year when that came out. Highly recommend you because I think you'd like that. But if they manage this well, Mighty Mouse might actually be relevant again.
I mean, you say again, but like you said, it was bits and pieces and here and there, but.
Well, hopefully better than how Popeye's being relevant again by being in that war-filled, Charlie.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. I hope they don't make him Homelander or Cheeselander or whatever they want to call him.
Cheeselander sounds like a store in Wisconsin. No offense to
yes, it does.
Fans.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's crazy. Well, we will obviously hear more about that as time goes on. But again, Paramount Plus, best streamer out there. I'm just saying.
Yes, anyone over the age of 55,
anyone who can enjoy,
cannot wait for Mighty Mouse.
You can enjoy Tyler Sheridan and Star Trek. All right, this is interesting. Toys R Us, which is a staple of Gen X and the generation. Who was the generation before? Well, our parents were the Boomers, so really, it's all of Gen X, isn't it?
That's so weird that there's like nobody before the boomers. It's like the deads.
Weren't they the silent generation or the greatest generation? That was before them, but Toys R Us, and it doesn't really say here, but Toys R Us was a retail giant in North America, at least, if not abroad. And
they're in Canada, Charlie.
Yeah. No, I just said North America. When I said
they're still alive in Canada, I think.
Yeah, exactly correct. But what I was saying is, I don't know if they were outside of North America. Is what I was opining about. But yes, they that was a stable.
Oh, they were. They were in Germany, Austria, Switzerland,
there
UK.
You go.
There you
Very
go.
Good. So, like I said, for us Gen X kids, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Jeffrey the dinosaur, Jeffrey the giraffe. It was a big deal. And we had one here not far from where I live. They had one not so far from where I lived when I was growing up over in the Detroit area. Todd, I assume there was one in Flint that you visited from time to time, or maybe elsewhere.
Absolutely. As a kid, you went through those hallowed halls, and myself, because I had a sister and a mom that did not want to go to Toys R Us, went to the mall first. I begged to go to Toys R Us after the mall. Sometimes it worked, it didn't. And they were known as the retailer with video games where, Charlie, there was nothing on the shelves. There were just like those, basically an image of the thing you wanted. And then you pull out the sheet and you take it up to the register. So
that's
you assume,
how you get them.
Do the sheets represent actual inventory? Nobody knows. But
I mean,
Toys R Us was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, much like every big box retailer out there, things started to flag for them with the advent of online shopping like Amazon.com. And here in the United States, they filed from bankruptcy back 2017 and 2018, closing all of their stores by 2021. The one by us now is like, I think it's like a huge chain restaurant or something. It's something that I'm not going to go into.
They demolished the one here in Bloomington. Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. But it stayed alive in Canada. I joked that I didn't have my passport with me when we visited the UP a couple of years back, my first trip to the UP, because I wanted to drive over the bridge in Sault Ste. Marie when we were staying just to go to the Toys R Us. But we didn't do that. But Toys R Us was still around at that time because that was, I think, 2016. But Todd, what are they doing now? It's starting to creep back. They've got them in Macy's stores now. That's what I understand. Speaking of Macy's.
They actually had a float on the Macy's Day Parade, which I found interesting. It's almost like a brand that is more valuable than the actual like having a store. It means something. It's kind of like the Trump brand. It's just you put on a thing that we actually don't need to do anything. Trump Tower, whatever happens. Yeah. But Toys R Us, it's a brand. It's not really a presence. But they come back, and apparently they're thinking that this brand has some legs. So they're going to be doing Toys R Us Family Face Off. This is going to be a reality competition, Charlie. This is going to be interesting because the thought is that they would be bringing together families to compete inside a larger-than-life toy store, and then they'll integrate a range of nostalgic and popular trending toys. And basically, the way they do this, it'll be similar to other reality competitions that you've seen before, and essentially, like Food Network does this really well. It's like, oh, it's Wicked, so we're going to make a Wicked cake. I assume it'll be similar like this. It's going to be basically, oh, it's a larger-than-life Rock'em Sock'em Robots, so you're going to actually be controlling robots, and the family who wins, it goes kind of like Double Dare or anything like those. I assume that's how this will go, because those reality shows like Squid Game. Then there's reality shows like Mr. Beast has.
It's going to be like Squid Game. You have to murder your way through a Toys R Us.
Well, I don't know if there's murdering. You'll probably fall through a hole and you'll be attacked by Furbies or something.
Furbies.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I think this could be a lot of fun, especially if you think of like the 5 Days at Freddy's or Five Nights at Freddy's and all those things. If you make it kind of like, oh, you're getting killed by like the Jeffrey Giraffe character or something.
He had a family too. Didn't he have like a kid or a kid brother, maybe a wife?
Yeah, all the giraffe family. Yeah.
There you go. Very good.
Well, they're all extinct. Sorry. Oh,
yeah. That was what. Yeah, that was conditions of the bankruptcy. They had to euthanize them. That was rough.
They're not real folks. Rough. They're just big stuffed animals.
No animals were harmed in production of this joke. All right. Let's see here. What do we got to wrap us up? But I still haven't finished watching the Batman show. Isn't that on Prime? I've got to watch the rest.
Oh yeah,
of
the Batman show. Yeah. So essentially, DC has not stopped making animated projects, which are great.
Yeah.
And they're going back to something, once again, nostalgia, Charlie, for the 90s. And
The
one of the
90s.
most nostalgic and biggest storylines in the 90s for DC was Batman Nightfall. And this is all about Batman, essentially a one-man army trying to take down all the villains at Arkham as they were released, as Arkham, basically all the villains were released. And he was basically getting destroyed by like taking down Killer Croc and all those villains. And eventually Bane, who was a new character at the time, who essentially was a child that essentially was experimented on and treated on, and then basically grew up through the mean streets in this fictional South American island.
Almost sound like you were going to do the voice. That's what it sounded like.
I was not going to do the voice. But then he was basically treated with venom that basically made him look into this like huge monster, had the wrestling mask. So this was all about how Bane manipulated all these events to basically come in and basically take over Gotham. And Bruce Wayne, his back was broken.
Ouch.
And through that, he had to heal up. But they brought in this weird character named Jean. God, what was his name? Basically became Azrael, the Dark Knight.
Yeah, we recently
John
had
Paul Valley. That's what his name was. Yeah.
Well, we had a cover a couple of episodes back. That was him. Yes, we did. So this is a new animated film. We've often said that DC absolutely has the corner on the market when it comes to animated adaptations of their heroes, where Marvel, they're catching up, but they haven't always had the greatest string of, all going back to Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends and Wolverine with his Australian accent. They haven't always gotten it right. So this is in production. So they're looking to adapt, much like I know there was an animated property where they adapted just The Killing Joke.
They've done the Long Halloween. They've done other ones too.
Hush, or maybe Hush was discussed anyway. Unfortunately, that Killing Game one, they did sneak in a subplot.
Killing Joke.
Killing Joke. They sneaked in a subplot where Batman and Barbara
it veered from the actual property. Yeah,
exactly correct. But anyway, it sounds like this could be potentially a straight adaptation of that story, which I assume probably went on for a year or so, because they had naturally they had Azrael come in. He was good, then it got bad, then Bruce Wayne had to come back and take him down. Exactly what you would expect.
It was an interesting. They created this the Knights of whatever, which then led to someone taking over, which was Jean Paul, which was then he basically over time he basically took on the mythos of Batman. I'm not sure, I can't remember why Dick Grayson or some of the other Robins didn't take over, but at this point, you just saw over time though, Jean Paul Valley took the Batman costume and then put on gauntlets, and then he became then put on this whole armor and then brought in a sword. It became very weird, and then you found out, this is actually the Order or whatever. I can't remember what it was. Basically just coming in to basically take over Batman as a role model or a figurehead. And it was very cool. And there was many different things of Nightfall turned into a few other offsets, which was great at the time, because it really felt like we were moving the it felt like at that time there weren't a lot of moving the storylines forward, and this felt like it was really doing it for Batman for first thing in a long time in the main book. So this is cool. We continue to get these through DC. This isn't part of the James Gunn purview. These are just telling these old classic stories, which are great. I wish Marvel did more of this, where they basically adapted old storylines, where it's it doesn't matter what's happening in the MCU, but these are great stories, like Kraven's Last Hunt. Do something with that in an animated fashion.
It's like they just don't want to mess with it. They're afraid to lose people because the MCU is so big, and they realize that their popularity is hinged on those films, and if they veer from it, how will people feel? You know what I mean?
Charlie, you get Kraven's Hunt without Spider-Man. How is that good? It's great, right?
Kraven's hunting nothing. Is he hunting for a pizza? Yeah,
exactly.
Kraven's hunt for
craving
Domino's.
For a pizza. I'm craving for a pizza.
Yes, craving for a pizza. I like it. So anyway, there's no further details on this, which means it's 2 or 3 years away. But I'm totally on board, because again, I've not read that story. I'm aware vaguely of the details. So I would love to see it explored. So I'm totally down. All right. Well, with that is the end of the news. Todd, I've got my phone out. What's the name of the new app that we're using to get this cab? I know we were looking at something different.
It's called Musculator.
Musculator app is out. And the good news is we get a nice quality of cab. Look at this thing. It pulls up. It looks like a metro car. We get in. But you know what's not different than using the Fuber app? This advertisement on this AM radio station, it's almost like it's following us around. Let's have a listen.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy cover bands playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, Charlie, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2 dropped.
Yep.
I finally watched it all. I assume you did too?
We finished it this morning because it was one of these we started doing some holiday watching, but this morning we watched our regular Sunday morning shows, and I'm like, what if the Roku has this, hey, do you want to continue watching? So I kept going and I'm like, oh, there's Cobra Kai. So we had to watch the last 3. There were 6. Was it 6 that came out?
It's hard to tell because they combined the whole season now. But there's the episodes are so the last episode was 10. Right. And maybe it started at 6, I think is what it did.
There you go. So that's 5.
So 6, 7, 8, 9, it was interesting because I completely forgot there was going to be a part 3. So when I ended the era, I'm like, wait, what happened?
Exactly.
Oh my God, when's this going to happen? So
you're ending the show with that. I have to say, if I can jump in here, this show has just continued to get more ridiculous to the point that it's like Johnny on the plane going home with the guy in first class.
Yes,
it's
a telenovela, man.
It is really it just gets more absurd. Plus, how could him and his stepson afford 2 flights from Spain to LA because they go and then they go back again? I'm like, who's paying for it? because Johnny's broke, I mean, so so it does take us back to the big global karate competition,
Saikai, which is where they're at now. Yeah, that's the whole part of part 2 is basically that competition, and it just is a hot mess. It's a hot mess because Daniel gets derailed because there's this weird thing about Mr. Miyagi where apparently he was part of this competition and apparently killed someone.
Yep.
Then there is there's lots of new dojos that are brought in that are just all over the place. There's
Oh my
like
God.
all the different colorful things. There's like one from Brazil, I think. There was a guy who looks like a rooster. Then there's a group that I feel like is run by there's like what's his Drago from Rocky IV is in there.
It was,
and
you
then
know, you know what it really was? It was the nasty version of the wizarding contest thing from Harry Potter. You know how you had all the ones from different countries? Didn't it kind of remind you of that? And it had elements,
kind of, yeah. It's so bizarre. And then like the weird like rules of like how they're gonna do this is like, oh, we're gonna have like just tag teams. You come in and you get knocked out. Then there's like
team back again.
There's like a platform where you get knocked off.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, so it's like American Gladiators. It just
kind of is, or like the what is it? The in wrestling they have the King of the Ring where you get knocked out. Very odd. And a lot of drama this year because then we get like we're in Spain, so we meet sexy people. We go to the club. We've got like old members of Cobra Kai that put people in dog pens and kidnap them.
Yep.
Hot tubs with villains that just show up out of the blue.
Yeah, well, it's the one guy, and he was from the movies, like the guy who was above Crease,
Silver.
the ponytail guy.
Yeah.
So he was
Johnny Silver. Silverman.
Yeah, Silverman. You see, that's how memorable these C and Z tier.
Well, he was from Karate Kid 3, right? He was from Karate Kid 3, yeah.
Not the one with Hilary Swank. I need her to show up. Where's Hilary Swank in all this?
She's not showing up, Charlie. She has too much pride.
Yeah,
too much pride for this series.
I know. This is it. Just where this show has had an odyssey because, like you said, it started on YouTube Red, which was their subservice, which didn't take off.
Yes.
Netflix grabbed it. It became kind of fun, and they're about half a season or a whole season past being watchable. It's just not good.
Oh,
dude.
I love it. I can't stop watching it. When something shows up, like, of course it does. I love this. This is like why this is why people like reality shows, Charlie, because it's like the guilty pleasure of this. It's like I'm all in regardless of how ridiculous this is. And that's where I'm at. Of course it happened. Of course, like they went back and forth. The baby's okay. They come back, and then they have like the whole. We got to get this kid to Spain because he's going to win this for us, even though he probably hasn't practiced. He's karate in like
how did he gain 50 pounds? Yeah. And of course, the episode does end on a cliffhanger because about halfway through the last installment, one of the toughs knocks out the ref, and the whole thing turns it totally goes into a blitz. It goes, what's that song? And a man
it's a
in the
battle
back.
royal.
It turns into ballroom blitz.
It's a wrestling battle royal where everything happens, and it's like, what is even going on?
It was like that scene a couple of seasons back. It was either at the high school or at the shopping mall where it was just they were using both floors.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, that's where Miggy broke his back, which of course got better, and he's totally fine. But yeah, it was just a battle royale, and yes, it does end on a very serious note, on a cliffhanger, which we will not spoil, because Todd's right. It's dumb. Watch it. Make fun of it. April and I were heckling the shit out of it this morning.
Oh, I love it to pieces.
We were having a good time. We were having a good time.
Yeah, this is the definition of dumb fun. It's basically you shouldn't enjoy it because it's not well written. It is dumb. It's fun. It's it's playing on your emotions and your nostalgia. And you know what? Yeah. Nostalgia rules. If it didn't, then why would we even be talking about half the things we are today? Like Mighty Mouse, Charlie.
Oh my God.
We did get
quick sidebar. This is gonna segue into a film. How is that going to do if this is just
we've got to end this season? Will end, the show will end in probably February. So I think that's going to actually end. We'll get the part 3, and that is supposed to happen 3 years later, post Cobra Kai.
Oh, the movie. Okay, so they're going to new setting, new everything. Okay.
Because did you notice like everybody was like saying this is our last battle together because all these kids are going on to high school or they're not going to stick around to hang out at this dojang when they actually have real lives to go through. Because if they did, that'd be weird. So we're probably going to see like Daniel basically go on a journey, maybe to go and delve into the old past of Mr. Miyagi.
Oh,
That's
there
what I'm
you go.
guessing. That's where it's going to go. Everybody else will be fine. You know,
Yeah.
Johnny will get a career in like DIY, and he'll have a show where he doesn't know how to do anything. And then his wife, Carmen, who has a baby, will show him how to do it. I don't know.
Yes. It's going to be a million seller. All right. What else you got?
So we just recorded a new episode of Spinner Rack, but it's been a little delayed. But I did read a new book that I was going to do for a Spinner Rack, but it kind of just got delayed. And that is essentially a new miniseries called DC Absolute Power. It was a 4-issue miniseries, basically reestablishing DC's new footprint or where they're going to go in regards to the Justice League. It was really well done. It was about Amanda Waller essentially going apeshit and finding a way to use the Amazo technology, which, if you remember Amazo, he was like a weird bionic robot like the Super Adaptoid, Charlie, who basically could absorb powers to basically bring in.
I have a Super Adaptoid. It didn't sell well, but it was the Super Adaptoid. It's actually a 12-inch
Really?
figure. Yeah, to go. Yeah, I know. It was a $80 figure that I got for $25.
Yeah, really? Yeah. All those kids love the Super Adaptoid.
I would go grab it if I didn't have the headphones plugged in. I'd go, boop, I'd show it to you. But look for it in the future. If I was to turn my desk this way, you'd see it because it's behind me.
Yes. So basically, Amazo is a lot like, in maybe earlier than the Super Adaptoid, but still, it's basically a creature that basically could absorb or duplicate powers. Same thing. Amazo's the same way. And essentially, Amanda Waller's team, through the government resources, has found a way to basically absorb all the powers of super characters and superheroes and basically remove all power. So basically, you've got Superman with no power. You've got all these characters, no powers.
Nobody wants that.
How do they? Yeah, because the government's basically saying they're going to eventually take us down anyway. So we want to remove their power and go there. So they get these like robots that do that. And it was a really cool story. Essentially, you've got some people that were aligned with the bad guys that you didn't expect. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it was only 4 episodes long. I thought this was really cool. Really basically resetting up like kind of the status quo. That led us into a special called DC All In, which was a special one shot basically of like what's going to happen next. So this led into bringing back Darkseid as a main bad, but also reestablishing Justice League, because it's essentially the Justice League was disbanded. Now it's brought back, and it's basically bringing everybody in. So it's not going to be just 7 people. It's going to be everybody can be part of the Justice League, like unlimited.
Yeah, that's like what they did. Well, it didn't really work out that way, but like when Mark Waid and George Perez launched the Avengers in 1998 after the Onslaught, the Heroes Reborn Return thing, where you just had this big outpouring. It was like 100 Avengers sitting in a amphitheater talking about who's going to join the team. But now you're saying so this is just a pick up and go team, kind of like the Avengers title, like whoever shows up.
Well, this is basically Justice League Unlimited, like the cartoon series, which is great. So basically, you have a Watchtower again in space.
The Watchtower, yes.
And then they brought back Darkseid, but along the way, they created essentially a new pocket universe called the Absolute Universe, which is where you're bringing in like the ultimate version of Marvel, which is DC. So Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman are all getting their ultimate comics that are coming out. And when those are out, Charlie, I will make sure that we talk about those comics.
Absolutely.
Because,
that sounds good.
They sound like they're getting really good reviews. So when there's 2 of each of those 3, we'll talk about those on the Spinner Rack, because I really like this direction. I like the fact that basically everybody can be in the Justice League, which is awesome, and Darkseid's back. Yeah, so there you go.
A nice fresh take. I like it. Cool. Yeah. Well, we're talking a lot about comics. I'm trying to tip back in. I pre-ordered this title long ago because one of the when I was a kid, one of the first newish, had been around for about a year, titles that I ever read was the West Coast Avengers, featuring Todd's favorite artist, which is, who's your favorite artist again, Todd? Who was on the West Coast?
The Bagman.
No, he was on Spider-Man. You're talking about who was the other guy? Al Milgrom.
Oh, Al Milgrom. Yeah, with the Paradigm. What was his name? Dr. Paragon or Dr. Demon?
No, you're
Paragon.
thinking of Master Pandemonium.
Master into pandemonium.
Exactly. But anyway,
with all those like demons coming out of his sleeves.
He did. Exactly. No, it was a very tongue-in-cheek series. Steve Englehart was the writer. That's a name that Kurt has floated. That's somebody that we might interview on Spotlight. I know that name has come up.
You might want to remove me from that conversation, Charlie.
You don't think you could do it justice?
Badly.
I could probably find a way to handle it.
I don't want to offend the man.
But anyway, West Coast Avengers, they ran a little over 100 issues. They canceled it in 1994. They had a follow-on series called Force Works, which was dreadful. The very first issue of Force Works featured in its letter column a letter written by me, a letter to the editor about the last issue of West Coast Avengers, which Marvel, for no reason at all, mailed me the paste-up page, which I have framed in my den. I go look at it. Yeah. I've told you that story before. I'm sure I have. But at any rate...
really so notable, I often forget it.
I know, yes. It's a big deal. I'll send you a picture. But anyway, so they tried to bring it back in, I think, 2016, with Hawkeye again leading the team because he led the original team. Did not make it. So it is back again with Todd. We always say, bringing back a title, it's going to be more of the same. They had to change the focus, the format of it. What it is that it's Tony Stark and James Rhodes got together and said, let's start they're both West Coast based. And they said, let's start the team up again, but we're going to make our team essentially almost like a villain rehab or like a low tier character rehab that we're going to bring them in. We're going to train them to be heroes and we'll be Avengers. Their first recruit is a Ultron. He is a member of this team, reprogrammed. So he's like K2SO from Star Wars. Think about it that way. And he also brings in Jessica Drew Spider-Woman because I think people are going to kind of come in and out.
Wait, was she a criminal?
Yeah, she has a criminal background apparently. Yeah, which I guess I didn't know that much about. He also reached out to Firestar, who is of course from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Wait, why are these people all criminals now? Firestar? What'd she do?
I think a lot of it is potentially criminals, but also characters who are kind of down on their luck, because that's the story when we see Firestar. She's in the bar.
Did she start up like a MLM and like selling like pantyhose to people?
Could be. But when Tony calls her in the issue, she's in the bar with no name, which is where the criminals hang out. So yeah, something's going on. So yeah, that's kind of how they get things rolling. This features the return of the Silver Centurion Iron Man armor, which he gets out of a storage shed, and he has no power for it, so he's wearing a belt of car batteries. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in this issue.
Belt of car batteries.
You got it. I think I sent you a picture. But there is, while all of that is kind of fun and satirical, I know our friend of the show and Patreon, Kurt Krug, read this, didn't like it. Kurt, I appreciate that, but I had a lot of fun reading it. Kurt is very much, and he listens to our show. He's very much a traditionalist, which I respect. But I think this was a new take, and the twist at the end where you find out what's really going on as far as who's really the villain and what their plan is, actually kind of came out of nowhere because it's interrelated to the first part of the plot. So, Todd, I would say give it a spin. Iron Man with car batteries. Yeah. Bet now. How
Number many issues does this last?
Less than 15.
Okay. So the bet will be I will buy you a action figure of your choice under $25.
Okay.
Same thing for me.
That's about how much they cost. So that's
or fine. Collectible.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. You say under 15.
Under 15.
But you got to pick a number because that's still too broad.
13. 1 year. About 1 year.
You think 13. Okay. I will go 16.
Closest without going over?
I want to hear I want to make sure you've read all of this, and I want to see where this goes. When does it go off the rails? When people stop thinking about this? Okay,
I did.
I'll put this in there, Charlie.
I did a subscribe to series on Amazon, so it will show up in my Kindle.
When would that put us at like a decision? Would that be like
about a year from now? Yeah, about a year from now.
Okay.
If it comes out once a month, yeah, that's fair.
Okay. I like this.
Okay, I like
Putting some teeth in this. Oh yeah.
All right.
Because I don't know what the average length of Marvel like series are. If it's 13, 24.
It's 10 to 13, I think.
Okay. So I have 16.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure who wins.
Okay. Well, here you should highlight that in red. Here, I'll take care of it.
All right.
We'll highlight that in red. There we go.
If anybody else wants on that action, we're not going to buy you anything, but you can buy us something. That'd be great.
I'd love to hear from anybody on our socials, on our Discord, toss a number out there. But yeah, I know that it's not going to make it. They never do. All right. Well, moving on. You can get that at your local comic shop, obviously, or on Kindle, which is how I read it. And will show up eventually on Marvel Unlimited. So I was doing the skim through my stuff on Paramount Plus. Like, you come across something, you're like, I should save this because I should watch it someday. Probably a year ago, there's a documentary made about the controversial European duo, Milli Vanilli, which was very, very big when Todd and I were in junior high, getting into high school. It was two gentlemen of African descent. One was German, one was French, who came along, and they teamed up with a European producer called Frank Farian, whose claim to fame was a group called Boney M, which I'm like, I've never heard of Boney M, but they did that. They did a version of Sunny, a woman singing Sunny, my life was filled with rain from the 70s, disco.
Did they ever sing anything?
I don't know.
Or were they all lip syncing all the time?
Yes. Well, Todd is kind of cut to the quick because Milli Vanilli won Best New Artist in, I believe it was 1989 or 1990. And it was immediately revealed that neither of those guys sang on their record. It was a controversy that shook the industry to its core. Milli Vanilli gave back their Grammys. They tried to make it on their own by singing. The one guy was a
Robin
Fabrice or Fab. Yeah,
Fabrice.
Yeah.
So he went
Fabrice. Yeah, Fabrice. Robin Fabrice. We spray in the bathroom afterwards.
That's a good career. If you can do it.
So yeah, they tried to make a comeback. They couldn't do it. Ultimately, Rob took his own life. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
Oh, I forgot.
And Fab is still around. He got married, had a bunch of kids. But it was funny. So April and I were watching this last weekend, and we were like, entertainment is entertainment. Why were people so super pissed that these two guys were they were dancers? Why were people so mad? I don't know why it's the end of the world. Yeah, if they I think that they should hand the Grammy to the guy who sang the record. But I'm like, keep doing the same thing. But it was because how many people lip sync now? I guess it's not lip syncing to the point that they didn't make music in the first place.
Lip sync a performance, actually, if you like, it would just think of like Jessica. What was it? What was the other Simpson?
It was Ashley Simpson. Yeah, and SNL.
Remember when she did the hoedown after when she actually tried to perform? I mean, maybe she actually sang the original thing because I assume she sang it, but she couldn't perform it live. But these dudes, as far as we know, never sang a lick, and they were just
except
lip syncers.
When they came back out.
And again, I think we heard them sing eventually, and
we did. Yeah,
horrible.
It was not good. Rob was not a great singer. Fab or Febreze, as we called
him,
they
just looked. It was okay. Right?
I mean, well, yeah, they're very handsome guys, and they were dancers, and they had a look that really fit the '80s, and it really nailed it. But ultimately, Rob couldn't find a place in normal life and spiraled in drug addiction and things of that nature. It's tough stuff, but it's about an hour. It's on Paramount Plus, and I found it to be very interesting. But I'm like, that's a song that no one from our generation will ever not know. It's like Ice Ice Baby. You know what I mean? It's very.
I don't know, man. I feel like kids get so many memes and things from the internet that I think everything is. Somebody will find something, and they won't understand where it comes from. But we will, because we had nothing to do, and so we worried about a pop band.
That is exactly. People were so concerned when there's cyberbullying run rampant and stuff, and it's just
hey, totally Charlie, ridiculous. We cared about Al Capone's vaults.
Oh, right, and we saw how that worked out. Ooh, live TV. That's and his career never recovered.
Nope.
Finally wrapping up, we just grabbed this on Hulu last night, which means it's also on Disney Plus. Ben Stiller's first starring role in 7 years. Because I had looked it up on IMDb. He did a holiday film for Hulu where he is a rich real estate guy who lives in Chicago who has to drive out. He has to drive out to the middle of nowhere, Ohio, which he claims is a 3-hour trip. I did the math. You cannot get across the state of from Chicago. You can't get across the state of Indiana in 3 hours. Not northern Indiana. from Chicago. He said, it took me 2 hours to get out of Chicago and an hour to get here. I'm like, no, you'd be in Gary or at the very least Fort Wayne. But no, yeah. So anyway, my point is he had to drive to rural Indiana because his sister and her husband died in a car crash and left behind 4 kids. They're hippies. The kids are homeschooled and they're completely feral. And so that's this movie. Linda Cardellini also stars. And then you have 4 kids and they're running around trashing stuff. It's very much like Meet the Parents kind of humor, where they're humiliating him and he's taking it and he's going, oh, well, and he's just being very Ben Stiller. Very endearing at the end, but think about it like a Hallmark movie and you'll enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, it goes okay? Everything works out?
Did you think everything was not going to work out? But anyway, yeah, he's challenged.
Charlie, I was worried. I'm like, I don't want these kids to go to the homeless place where they end up becoming like meth factory addicts and things like that. I mean, and then Ben Stiller's like, sorry, I tried. Enjoy the meth factory.
Sorry, it's rural Ohio. No offense to rural Ohio, but rural Ohio is like rural Michigan or rural Indiana. Lots of meth factories. Sorry, that's Midwest claim to fame.
Well, isn't there like the worst Christmas pageant is in a movie right now too, where it's about the same thing, where like this family gets these horrible children to be in a Christmas pageant.
Who's
so
showing
it's
that?
basically the same thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. It does end.
Stop having horrible children. That's the lesson to our fable here, Charlie.
Yeah, these kids were really bad and out of control and destroying things, and you would think it was just
Hey.
But at the end, they're wonderful.
Isn't that the lesson? Be good kids, or people will abandon you and you'll die.
Your parents will die in a car crash, and then you will have to live in a field.
Was there any like outstanding parts of it? Like, was there anything like this felt unique or different? Or
you know what? There is the deceased mother owned a ballet studio, which she didn't pay the rent on, so it was
what
best. And the kids were the
kids take ballet.
One of the oldest kid took ballet, and at the end, he one of his friends who was a girl he had a crush on, they did a ballet at the end. That's all. I'm not going to spoil it for you. There's
nobody from the ballet studio is like, oh my God, I love that woman. She was the greatest person.
Yeah,
I'm going to help these kids out. Nope. They're dead to me.
not the way these kids were destroying stuff. I'll tell you. But anyway, yeah, it's over on Hulu. It is endearing. It'll touch your heart a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's kind of worth watching. So anyway, well, that Todd ends our time in the Geek Easy. Thank God. Spit in my drink yet again. We're not paying the tab. Don't know why we come back here. It must be the yacht rock band that plays. Remember that old chestnut? But anyway, I have got.
We basically have a apparently an advertising deal, Charlie, and it's not working out either ways. But nobody wants to say it's over.
Nobody wants to say it's over. But anyway, I've got on my Air Qantas app. It is time to get to the Land Down Under. Hologram Tina and the mutants await to listen to us talk about Wicked and genre musicals. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome.
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, we're doing a little bit of a mixed bag because we're going to be talking about Wicked, Part 1. This is the musical that's been based on a book, based on a musical, based on a movie. That is now a movie.
Wait a minute.
There we go.
Movie, musical, book, musical, movie.
Yeah, well,
original
book.
Spawned the movie, spawned a book, spawned a musical, spawned a movie. 5 steps. No sequels. No Return to Oz.
Book, book,
movie,
musical, movie, and there we are. So
very good.
That's where it's at. Yes, that's where we go. Three-step plan. Yes,
including the actual Wizard of Oz part from the.
Yes. So we're going to start there. We're going to talk about this movie because there's not a whole lot to discuss with this movie. And then we're going to get into actually.
You've probably already seen it, and if you hadn't, you should because I talked about it last week.
We're going to transition to basically genre musicals to consider if you like Wicked, which is good because I feel like sometimes people are like, "Oh, I don't like musicals," but then you do, and it's like, okay, well, there's more out there if you like the world of genre. So with that, Wicked Part 1 launched last weekend. John M. Chu, who is behind Rich
Crazy Rich
Ridiculous Rich Asians. Ridiculous Rich Asians. Yes.
You've seen it, right? It was pretty good. Snake Eyes.
I saw part of it. My wife loves it to pieces, so
yes.
I'm aware of it and know it's very highly successful, so very good. And then this came out, this movie, November 3rd, 2024. Running time of 160 minutes and has made almost 360 million off
Globally.
a $150 million budget. So very good. And this is part one, because there is a book this is based on that is actually expanding beyond the regular musical.
Right.
So there's 2 parts. Your characters in this are Cynthia Erivo playing Elphaba, the witch.
Elphaba.
Yep. Ariana Grande playing Galinda or Glinda. Jeff Goldblum, the wizard, Michelle Yeoh, Madame Morrible, Jonathan Bailey Fierro, he's awesome. And then Ethan Slater, Bach, Marissa Bode, Nessa Rose, and Peter Dinklage did the voice of the goat, Dr. Dillamond. I didn't know that either.
Nailed it.
Then we had some other characters as well. Bowen Yang, he makes himself known as I'm in this movie. Look at me. I've got some lines. Other than that, that's about it. That's all we need to talk about.
That's true.
I will say this is interesting, Charlie, because the name of the school, I hated the name, Shiz. Like, I know. What the hell is that about?
It's
like, why did you choose that?
Are they trying to capitalize before its time on like the Riz, which isn't that something the kids say? Isn't that an expression?
The shiznit? I don't know.
Well, that's very much the shiznit was like Snoop Dogg. So
that's weird.
That's Gen X, but isn't Riz
the shizzle? Was the shizzle not cool enough?
But isn't Riz in like the current parlance like something that's cool? Like, oh, he's got Riz, or it's like you got style or charisma.
But
like
it came
charisma
from a book from
Riz?
like 2004. So I don't think they were putting out a book about a geeky thing. Was probably not putting out cool urban slang.
Oh yeah, I know the book was from 1995. It's 30 years.
Oh,
old.
even earlier then. So there you go, Charlie. I don't think the book was putting out because I don't think they changed the name of the school. So the Shiz name is just a very weird thing because I'm like,
that's what it is.
I don't know if it's based on. Yeah, it's very odd. So this movie, I've seen the musical I saw it in Minneapolis. You have not seen the musical, but you've seen this movie. So we come from different places. The musical is one thing. Right. The movie is 2 things.
Right.
And I've never read the book, but the book is in 4 parts. So there's more there. But the book is really, I believe, the first is basically what's set in 2 parts. Is the book and the musical or the movie are one thing, 2 parts. So,
okay.
But yeah.
They kind of jam
so
together.
there we go. So essentially it's just a retelling of The Wicked Witch. And I did find this entertaining. It's been a while since I saw the musical, so I don't remember exactly the origin of Elphaba and the fact that basically there was some hijinks going on.
She's a milkman baby. Yeah.
Pretty much. And basically her parents were at fault. Well, the parents, not the the family, were responsible for this horrible thing, which then basically screwed their daughter, Elphaba, which I felt bad for. And then obviously they had another daughter who was in a wheelchair, and that is Marissa, which is Nessero, her sister. So there we go. So basically it's all about these people getting together. You see that Elphaba has had a horrible life. Her parents blame her, kind of kept her on the side, but she has these abilities that allows her to be very special and more so than anybody else that they've seen in a long time.
Because the school is not like, Hogwarts. They're just, it's a prep school. Really, I mean, they're not doing, they're not doing magic or whatever. And Elphaba sits on her abilities, which her skin is green. Nobody else in this is green or different colors besides colors you see here on Earth. Regular shades of people. But her mother drank this green potion, and so she came out green and has magical abilities, whatever it is. From there. You flash forward, they're teenagers, they're going to the school. She's not intending to go to the school, but her sister Nessa Rose, who is in the wheelchair, is attending the school. But through Elphaba just trying to leave, she ends up in a situation where she has to use her magical abilities, and Michelle Yeoh's character snags her and says, "You're staying with us," blah, blah, blah. And because she has an ultimate end game in mind, well, they stick her with Miss Priss, the perfect girl, Linda, played by the delightful
Linda. Yep.
the delightful Ariana Grande. And they, they're the odd couple. They kind of forge their way through hating each other to having a friendship. And I don't know how deep we really want to go, because I want people to go see it.
I don't know if there's much more to say. I will say, if you're familiar with the musical, this essentially stops in the middle of the musical, where it has the biggest song of the show.
Right.
And there are some unique things with like the wizard, with Jeff Goldblum is playing of the part.
Yep.
I do think it was a little bit, and I think the whole impetus of like why things are happening and what's happening with the animals, which is a big plot point.
Yeah.
It's a little vague at points. Which I don't know, Charlie, you're new to this, so it's like I felt like that was underdeveloped. They did say the reason why certain things happened was they needed someone to blame.
Okay.
But
it felt very.
Did it feel like a good reason, or did it felt like it is what it is, and I'm moving on? Yeah,
it did leave it like, it kind of felt like it was very 10,000 foot view, kind of, this is a bad thing. It's a bad thing to censure people. It's a bad thing to take people's rights away. Again, not necessarily commenting on things that are happening in the United States right now, but, looking at, was this a study in Animal Farm, that, the classic book, but reversed, where fascism was, or, a leader who promises big things who doesn't have the ability to deliver, yes. It does seem vague. Why do they, take away? Because they take away, Peter Dinklage, the goat. They take away his teaching position and they run him off into the forest, and they're, stripping them of their, I think doxing them so that they can't speak or something like that. Like there's something very malevolent going on. But you're right. Why?
Yes.
What's the why?
It was kind of like, we need to blame somebody, but it was kind of like, okay, totally get it. So regardless of that, I think the movie was great. They did an awesome job of bringing in the songs, making it not feel like it was a blockbuster, but making it feel like it was a cool and broadening of what you could do on Broadway on the big screen. Totally. I appreciated that. And obviously we know about the two main characters, and they're amazing. Yeah. But Fiyero, Jonathan Bailey, he was amazing. I thought he was a standout.
He's from like Bridgerton, right? Am I remembering this correctly?
Maybe. I don't know. So. I've never watched the show. Yeah. He's
the other hunky one in he's the other hunky one in that show. I feel like that's what I heard. Yeah, no, I agree. I would go out and see it. And again, the musical, not easy to see. I understand it was here in Grand Rapids earlier this year, but it was kind of off my radar, and I'm sure out of my price range, because it's insanely popular. And
not cheap.
And the theater kids, I think, has the time come where they have like sing along performances? Because there was at AMC or somewhere, it was a picture snapped of a sign in a theater somewhere that made the rounds on social.
Oh, I shared the sign from my theater. It said, "Please do not sing.
Right.
We want people to enjoy the film and let the actors sing. Right. And you can come back on Christmas.
Right.
And then sing if you like."
I thought it was at like end of November, something, like give it 2 weeks. But we were lucky. We were in a very full theater. There was no singing, and we enjoyed it very much. And I would even go see it again if for some reason I found myself in a movie theater, or I'll probably just wait till it comes out. Now this is Universal, right? So this will end up on Peacock, I'm guessing.
I believe so. Probably in 3 to 4 months. So by the time this movie comes out, it will get another fan viewing, and people get into it, and then obviously a year later part 2 will come out, and Absolutely. Then I do worry about part 2 being as crowd pleasing as part 1,
because the obviously based on the end of the film, and again we're not really going to spoil, it ends on a very definitive split, and what's to follow is going to be a little bit more grim and gritty. So, I agree with you. Yeah, I think they're going to have to, without having seen the musical, I think they're going to have to work kind of hard to make it to have some of those touchstone fun moments that we enjoyed in this film. But I would like to believe that they can do it.
Yeah, looking at the Act 2 songs, which is how the musical's set into, you go to you're basically your what's the gap in a movie?
The intermission.
Called intermission. Yeah, so basically at the Act 2, they're very much less charming, fun. It's a little bit more like brooding, darker. Mm-hmm. So that may not be as entertaining to audiences.
I think two things. People who love this movie will come back, but I don't know that it's gonna have the same kind of word of mouth, because it's a part 2. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's not fun in the same way. So I think that this might be very, as they say in the movie business, kind of heavy front loaded. You'll get a big performance, and then you'll get a pretty steep drop off. Where this, I think, is going to continue to push, because Moana 2 came out this week, and they were neck and neck. Moana 2 probably beat this. I haven't looked, but if not, they're neck and neck. And I don't know that we have another big tent pole for the rest of the year. Am I misremembering? I know we have
we've got the Mufasa film. We've got the Craven. I mean, he's gonna rock the box office. Charlie,
we'll be talking about that in 2 episodes time. So I got my tickets.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be a heckle fest for April and me.
Did you think it would sell out?
No, I did. I get it so that I don't. I get it so that I don't forget, and I get the seats.
I got it. Okay, yeah. You weren't nervous. Were you nervous, Charlie?
Not when I would to get tickets for this, but anyway, we'll move on. We're going to talk a little bit about some genre musical stuff. But go see this movie, support it. It's fun.
Absolutely.
And
it's fun.
Definitely worth seeing in theaters, because it's very grand. A lot of beautiful sweeping visuals. They did their homework. The performances are amazing. The alphabet character was Cynthia Invero, is her
Cynthia
name?
Erivo. Yeah, she's British. Great.
100%. Until the credits roll, I was sure that was Jennifer Hudson. I apologize. I really did think it was her. Even when I saw all the stuff with, she has a shaved head and a big septum piercing, I'm like, that doesn't look like Jennifer Hudson. I felt so bad. Cynthia, I'm sorry. I'm sure you'll never hear our show, but you're very, very talented.
Folks, send your fan hate to @C3 on all
socials. At the C3. Yes, absolutely.
Let them know how much you think that's ridiculous. I will be curious if people will go all in. But these type of movies that are huge in part 2, I don't know, beyond the Marvel movies and Splitting a Moving Hat and Harry Potter, how well this will do. But you know what? Give them hell. Give them hell, folks.
Give them hell.
And check it out. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, absolutely. So we get into if you liked Wicked and you're like, what other musicals could be out there in the weird world of genre? So we've obviously got, some of the major things you could think of, but there's a lot of TV musicals, which is surprising. I didn't even put like The Simpsons and Futurama and things like that, where they just have musicals as part of their
It's just part
DNA.
of the It's not really a standout. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I really wanted to touch on more untraditional things, or maybe things you aren't aware of in the world of musicals that are a little bit different and not. They're basically original takes versus something that's adapted. So, Charlie, with that, I have an article that I did put in that you could watch, which I think is funny because I found some very deep cuts, which I wasn't aware of. I didn't know there was a Grey's Anatomy musical. I didn't know there was a One Life to Live musical. If you're a Daria fan, there is a Daria musical episode, or at least one part.
Anything goes on long enough. It's funny, Daria. We've talked about that on Patreon as well. Passions, which was and then
Passions. That's a weird one-off soap opera, which was weird with the little
There's one from the Magicians, that show that you love so much.
Oh, that was a great episode. Yeah, it was kind of like they were taking down the big bad, and they added like a David Bowie number. They had Lady Miserables, so it was great. It was a great episode. Yeah,
the Community episode they had who is there with God? Who is that? Is an SNL guy, not Taron Killian.
Yeah, married to Agent Carter, or not Carter? Agent. Yeah.
Agent of something.
What's his name? He was from SNL.
Yeah, you're right.
That was guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you had mentioned Batman Brave and the Bold, the music of the mayhem of the Music Meister.
Yeah, so
but yeah, that one looks like a lot of fun.
But there's a lot of odd ones out there, so if you want to check those out.
Yeah.
But the ones I wanted to highlight were I think are probably the best of the best. So with that, Charlie, Anna and the Apocalypse. We actually watched this 2 years ago, I believe.
I know we did, but I'm kind of drawing a blank on what exactly happened. But yeah, I know.
So this is a British Christmas movie where the zombie apocalypse breaks out, and it is a musical, and it's wonderful. I love it, and it's basically taking down zombies, these teens, and it's heartbreaking at times, but it is pretty great. And I think the way they handle it is amazing. So, and the Apocalypse, I don't know. I mean, you could probably look it up where you could find it. I will see if I can add in links to all of these things from Just Watch when I publish the podcast. But yeah, and the Apocalypse, that was a great find. A new, I would say, holiday classic if you want something a little bit with bite, but also a little bit of heart.
A little bit of bite. All right. What else you got? Some
the
of these
Flash musical.
Yeah, some of these I'm sure I haven't seen. That one I don't remember.
Yeah, that was called Duet. It was between obviously Supergirl and Flash. Both of those characters were on Glee. So of course, they know how to sing. And the fact that they had a crossover episode that had a musical bent, which is pretty cool. I remember this one not being a great execution, but I still love that they actually tried.
I do. Yes. We talk about Buffy the Vampire Slayer over on the Facts of Geek Life, but we haven't gotten to Once More with Feeling yet, but I'm sure we will. But this is a classic of the 90s as far as working a musical premise into a show like this. I don't remember anything about it except for it was silly and wonderful. That is what I remember.
Yeah, so you had a demon, basically, who Dawn went to talk to basically see if she could make things right. She was struggling with all of the tumult, the drama in the house. And with that, basically, she made a deal, and then everybody started singing all their drama. It's a great episode, but I would say if you are not familiar with the series and all the things that were going on there, it will not have any impact to you because these songs that the cast are singing is dealing with the emotions they're going through because of all of the current things. So if you are into Buffy or interested in the series and want to check it out, I would say wait to watch this one until you're actually up to speed. Because if you're not, I don't think it will mean much to you. I actually bought a cool at cons now. They're doing this, Charlie. I'm sure you've seen this, where they take a musical. Basically all of the music in all of the charts and everything like that. And then they have basically a song with all the notes, but then they have a picture of the people on it. So this is something that I think is really cool. So if you like music tied to a property, you could even probably get one from Star Trek The Next Generation with their theme, even though it have lyrics. Well, you can make up lyrics, but it have the characters from it. Exactly. So
the original Star Trek the original series had lyrics that were written for it. They just were not used, but they've been published time and again. Look it up.
I hope you sing that with Peter one episode.
It's ridiculous.
And just put the song on behind you. Karaoke, Charlie. I think that demands to be sung.
I don't know.
I would love that.
I don't know that I could get Peter to sing. It's entirely
that would be an amazing Facebook short. So yeah, Buffy Once More with Feeling was kind of like a early 2000s.
Yeah.
Just kind of a pioneer episode. That brings us to Batman the Brave and the Bold. This is the Music Meister episode. This is one of my favorite Batman series. It's so silly, so fun with Daedric Bader playing the voice, and they brought on Neil Patrick Harris as his character, the Music Meister, and it was an all musical episode. It was amazing. So that is a great episode. I believe it's on Max. You can check it out there.
But Neil Patrick Harris takes us into our next one, which is a short, I believe it was a short, maybe it was a whole short film from the early 2000s.
Like 45 minutes.
Yeah, maybe the early 2010s, called Dr. Horrible, where he is a not so up and coming wannabe supervillain. And he's surrounded by, I think the guy who was Howard in The Big Bang Theory was one of his one of his
Simon
contemporaries.
Helberg was in it. Yeah, he was one of the. I think he was one of the minions. I think. Yeah.
And what Dr. Horrible is up against is it Captain Hammer, who's Nathan Fillion?
Yep, Captain Hammer,
who's the big hero, and that's about as much as I don't really remember what
Felicia
the hell happened
Day was essentially the woman he was trying to woo, and this was like 45 minutes long. It was a musical comedy drama in 2008, and it was between Buffy and what he was going to do next. Wasn't sure, and it just became viral, and 3 acts of 14 minutes each, and it was released online as individual episodes. So I believe it was eventually released as a real release. You could buy it. I'm not sure where it's actually available now, though, but I think it's great. Yeah. They made a comic book based on it. They did a bunch of other things. So, I thought this was a cool idea, and it was really brought to life really spectacularly.
Yeah, absolutely. Next one, you got me there. I feel like I've heard of it, but it's a lot of the same people. I bet Felicia Day's in it. She shows up in everything.
She became a big character on that. I'm trying to remember all the details of it, but it was really cool. Basically, they were traveling around. They went to the episode's called Fan Fiction from 2014. And essentially the whole show was tied to a little bit of a mix of what's the best way to put it? The zeitgeist of it was that there was a character that was like a demon or a god or something, was basically taking all of their stories and publishing it as like books, which was great. Like taking the reality. Yeah. And then they ended up going to a high school where someone actually had taken all their cases and put it into a supernatural musical where the brothers went and saw it. It was a great episode. I thought it was amazing.
That sounds like fun. That does.
It was amazing. It was just like, and Supernatural was all in on those weird ones where they made the Scooby Natural episode, of course. That is a fantastic musical option as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love this next one. This is on Apple Plus. Schmigadoon, with the season 2 being called Schmicago, which I don't know if we finished it, but it's not Jordan Peele, but Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong from SNL, who are a young couple who are not married, but they're at kind of this hinge point in their relationship where like, will we, won't we? And they go for I'm trying to remember the plot line. They go for a hike and they walk over a bridge, and all of a sudden they are living in a 1950s style musical, and they can't get out.
Oklahoma, all of those early days of musicals from I'd say the 30s to the 60s.
So they do eventually escape to the point that they come back and it happens again, and they're in the musical Chicago pretty much.
Which I like the leap they take with those, where it's gets into the more of the Stephen Sondheim, the little bit more edgier, Chicago hair, all of those ones where it was edgier, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I think you should check that out. A lot of the recurring characters just come back in different roles, so I thought they nailed it. So good.
Now, I'm the Star Trek guy, and there are Star Trek fans that I know that think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it is on what is arguably the best of what is now the second golden era of Star Trek shows, which is Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Subspace Rhapsody was from season 2, which we are getting season 3 early in 2025. The crew comes across an anomaly, because it's Star Trek, that they and a crew of Klingons, who are also nearby, can't control themselves singing. And it turned into a whole playlist, which other people in the Star Trek fan club that I belong to were crazy about it and having watch parties and stuff. Todd, you and I talked about this at the time. I talked about it with my co-host on Code 47 at the time. Todd, you and I really didn't like it very much, as I recall.
I like the idea, Charlie. The execution, the songwriting was a little bit hit and miss. It felt like the cast was in for it though. They were perfect for it, and it's but you didn't give them great songs or music.
I really wanted to love it because I love the characters and I love the show, but I was not in a great place with this. I skip the songs every time they come up on my Amazon. But you know what? It was a crowd pleaser for people who enjoy it. For people who didn't enjoy it, obviously, because it's Star Trek, people are all up in arms. But you know what? It's not one. It's one on our random episodes that I hope we never land on, because I would love to not talk about it again for several years until we come back around and discuss it again in the distant future. All right, the Muppets. My God, what do you pick?
Well, it's weird because I was looking at this website about the Muppets. So obviously the Muppet Show, so much music in the Muppet Show. But if you want to talk about like the actual like executions where they've been, so is Muppet Treasure Island, where they would let musicals there, because you think like, oh, Treasure Island happened in the early time. This is like chronological, so it's like, oh, the Muppets in Pirate Land. So, but then we had Muppets Christmas Carol, which people think is a modern classic. I've only seen it once, but I know it's well loved.
I think we watched it a couple of years ago. It was Michael Caine. Tell me, Spirit. Yeah. Oh, Michael Caine, tell me, Spirit.
Exactly. So it's well loved. Yeah. Then we have the Muppet movie, the Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, Muppets from Space. Then we got the Muppets, that movie from like 2016 with Jason Segel, and then Muppets Most Wanted, which I really enjoyed too. And I just really think and then we actually had the most recent thing, which was the Muppets series on Disney Plus, which was all about the Electric Mayhem Band, which I love that. I actually bought the vinyl because I thought that's kind of cool. So it was on Target or something like that. That's cool. Yeah. So the Muppets are so musical, and they've made so many musical moments that you couldn't forget about the Muppets.
Yeah. Absolutely not. So, okay, this next one, Todd, you're not a fan, or you didn't used to be, but
people have ruined Rocky Horror Picture Show, Charlie, like they've ruined like the Monty Python films.
That's the best way to put it. Thanks for burying the lead on me. I love this one. It gets a watch every Halloween season for us. We have gone to a simulcast where there is a performance in front of it. This is the definition of a cult classic film. Low budget. This was a musical in the early 1970s. One of the cast of it, Richard O'Brien, helped shape it as a film in 1975. Introduced the world to Tim Curry, Barry, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick. It's lovely. It's silly. It's stupid. It's lovely. Meatloaf has a performance. I mean, what else do you want? But Todd is right. Much like with Wicked and the theater kids, excuse the parlance, who would sing along and ruin everybody's good time, there is a propensity for that to happen with this as well, unless you're down with that. But that's how the film became famous. Midnight performances, people dressing up, singing.
Absolutely. Don't let my pessimism ruin it. I just felt like people are just wanting to be on stage, and I just want to see the thing.
I just want to see the thing. Okay. Yeah. Repo Man had a musical? Really?
Repo, the Genetic Opera, came out in 2008, and it had a lot of interesting actors and performers. Paul Sorvino, Anthony Head, Sarah Brightman, who's a great performer. But basically, it's an interesting, like, all geek performance. And basically, the premise is a worldwide epidemic encourages a biotech company to launch an organ financing program similar in nature to a standard car loan. The repossession clause is a killer, however. Right. Yeah, and this one, I want to see it, and it's from the producers of Saw, but it's like a full-on musical, and I'm like, that's kind of cool that exists, and it's got a high cult following. So I definitely will be putting on my list to watch, because Anthony Head, who's Giles on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is a performer. He's done a Rocky Horror Picture Show. He's done other things, so he's got the cred to do a musical. So. Hey, there you go.
Good stuff. All right. And last but not least, a 1-2 punch from the South Park guys. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who have been entertaining us, our generation, and the generation subsequent for the last over 25 years. In 1999, South Park, which had been on for 2 years, gave us a theatrical release, which was in large part a musical, with great songs like Blame Canada and other things that are...
What would Brian Boitano do?
Right, and other things too rude to repeat. And 5 years later, they gave us a marionette show puppet about a secret agent team called Team America, World Police, gave us a single greatest song, America, F yeah, all the lyrics are everything that is what there's a page I follow on Facebook called That Is Violently American. That is that song.
Absolutely. Well, actually, my favorite song for the movie, Charlie, Gotta Have Montage. I love that song.
Even Rocky had a
Gotta have
montage.
montage. Yeah, I love that. I always bring it up, but yes, it's so good.
Yeah.
I love that these guys, and they made Cannibal the movie, and then they or the Cannibal the musical, and they also then made the Book of Mormon. So these guys,
they have a lot of
that. Yeah.
They're doing a doco right now where they bought some old timey restaurant in LA.
Casa Bonita, I love you. Yep.
Yeah. I see spots from here and there. But anyway, that is our tour through genre musicals. Did we miss one? This is your opportunity on Discord or on any of the socials, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, or hitting us up at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Tell us what we missed. We'll talk about it in the next show. I got no trouble with that. Todd will keep a list. He's very good at that sometimes. And we will kind of take it from there. But that's the show. Lots of fun. Good stuff. Todd, where do people find you out there?
They can follow me at Toxtra on Threads and Instagram, and at Todd Oxtra and Secret Friends Unite on the Blue Sky. Check me out.
I have the Triple Crown. I am on those three, so Threads, Instagram, and the Blue Sky at the C3 TheCeeThree, where I'm just having a good time and doing my thing. But most importantly, join us over on Discord, our Secret Friends Unite Discord. It's the most funnest place out there. I know it's not a word to talk about geek stuff. We have a good time, share memes, and generally enjoy Rec on Tour. So please find us there. Thank you for joining us. As always, I'm going to tell you, sharing is caring, and keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Gotta have a montage.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.